Hi, crypto.com. I'm Matt, co-founder and CEO at Unstoppable Domains.
And I'm Brad, co-founder at Unstoppable Domains. Thanks for joining us. A real quick overview on us. We build domains on blockchains, and domains are used to simplify crypto payments and to build censorship-resistant websites. So we have two domain registries. You can either get .crypto domains or .zil domains. So we started publicly marketing this company in March of 2019. And 15 months later, we've got 220,000 domains registered so far. 8,000 websites are live, including Kyber.crypto, MyEtherWallet.crypto, Switcheo.crypto. We've got more than 20 wallets that are integrated where you can send crypto using your domain. So that's MyEtherWallet, IM Token, Trust Wallet, MyCrypto, many more. And there's also already a browser where you can type in .crypto domains just like .com domains and go see websites. And that browser is Opera. So it works Opera for Android right now. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. We're gonna do a quick little Q&A.
Awesome. Yeah, so thanks again for submitting your AMA questions. We've picked the 7 winners here, and Brad and I are just going to run through those right now. The first one is actually from, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but Odizio. And it's, if Unstoppable's IP is blocked or deleted, how will this solve everything for censorship? And how is Unstoppable protecting user information from censorship? So, and the answer is domain lookups are actually on the blockchain. So if if Unstoppable Domain site gets shut down, you can still resolve the content on your domains by looking at the blockchain. Also, because the names are on chain, even if Unstoppable is shut down, you could directly manage the domain on chain. All right, the next one is from Cam Being. And the question is, can you explain the major differences between current non-blockchain based domains and unstoppable domains? And can we set multiple crypto wallets with one domain? So I'll take the second part of that first. You can definitely set multiple crypto wallets with one domain. And then as far as the differences between the two, traditional domains are actually a part of DNS, and this is a big international consortium, and it's stored on servers and managed by a specific group of people. Domains must be stored with a registrar that acts as a custodian, and both the registrar and the registry, like .com owned by VeriSign, can revoke a domain. So blockchain domain registries are smart contracts on blockchains, and domains are NFTs stored in a user's wallet, so only the user can move them around. Cool. Next question is for you, Brad.
All right, so this is from Botek Bogor. What are the main benefits and purpose of blockchain-based domain names, and why would any normal user or business have crypto domains? And so I think we've talked a little bit about the first part, but blockchain domains can be used to build censorship-resistant websites and to simplify crypto payments. So those are the two primary uses right now. And in terms of traditional businesses, I think right now it makes the most sense for dApps and other crypto companies who have a need, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it easy for their users to interact directly with smart contracts. And if they have a website that can be taken down, then there's a risk that the users are going to essentially lose access to that UI to be able to interact with smart contracts. So right now, I don't think normal businesses have an immediate use, but in the future, they absolutely will, because the security model is better here, and because hosting costs could get cheaper. Anyone in the world can be your storage provider on a peer-to-peer network, so that's potentially much cheaper than having Amazon or whoever else in the middle. So this next one is from CryptoCorn. Why didn't you choose to build on the Ethereum virtual machine and use its existing domain registry so that domain owners have a reserved unstoppable domain with their EVM domain registration and vice versa? So .crypto domains were built with Ethereum, so they do use the Ethereum virtual machine. It sounds like you might be referring to .eth. They are a separate registry on Ethereum. And actually, the first product that we built was a registrar using .eth called By ETH Domains. We decided to build separate registries because we wanted to introduce some new features like multi-currency, where you can send Bitcoin, Litecoin, any currency you want, all to one domain name. Domain names that we've created also have one-time payments, so there's no subscriptions. And we also have a system where we can pay transaction fees for users when they make domain updates. This is much better for user experience. We're very excited, though. It's very early, so we think competition is good in any industry, and and we're glad that there are multiple wallet providers and multiple exchange providers too, because they move the industry forward.
So I've got the next one here from Investment Express or EXP. So thanks for the question. And it is the plan to have the possibility to access .crypto domains on every browser without an extension? So yes, that is the goal. That's always been the goal. It's up to everyone to build great websites and drive user demand. That is what is ultimately going to win over the browsers. They are paying attention to decentralized networks right now. And that and the increased security guarantees from blockchain domains, we think will win them over in the long run.
All right, so this question is from B Work or Work. So sending crypto with the domain is very easy. Thank you. Is there a plan to implement this method on an exchange like crypto.com? So yes, this is a great use case. We're in active conversations with exchanges about doing exactly this. There are some additional challenges for making domains work well with exchanges like key rotation, but we're working on it, and we'll have more to share on these solutions in the coming months. And it would also be great if you recommend to the exchanges that you use that you would like to have them support this.
All right, next question is coming in from In Time Profit. Love the user handle there. And it's explain more about IPFS and Unstoppable Extensions, and how secure is the extension, and how can I build a censorship resistant website using IPFS? So yeah, unstoppable domains are stored on the blockchain. That makes them very resistant to takedowns, unlike traditional DNS. So like Bitcoin's been running for 10 plus years now without a problem. Ethereum's been running for several years. It's very difficult to stop a blockchain. And that's the reason why we think that domain names should be on the blockchain. The second part of this is about content storage. So IPFS is a peer-to-peer file storage network where users share the files directly with each other without an intermediary, like Amazon or AWS in the middle that can take down your content. So by pointing a blockchain domain name to a website stored on IPFS, you can build a much more resistant, censorship-resistant website, because in this case, they would have to take down two peer-to-peer networks, the blockchain domain name smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain. They'd have to stop the blockchain somehow, and then they would, or they would need to take down the IPFS peer-to-peer network. So it's much, much more difficult than the current situation where they're just a phone call away from AWS or your custody provider for your domain names, registrars on DNS. It's what will be Unstoppable Domain's greatest objective at the moment. So I think we should both give our answer here. For me, I'm really interested in getting the decentralized web built out. And so that's not like an at the moment objective. That's definitely long term. And that's what we're working on every day when we're like, hey, what do we need to build next? What do we need to improve for UX for users? And that's where we're headed. So I really envision a future where everyone's using crypto to make everyday payments, and they're using blockchain domains in order to do those payments, and they've got their websites deployed, and they can say whatever they want, and they can do whatever commerce they want. Brad, what do you think our current biggest objective is?
Yeah, I think it's all about the decentralized web. I mean, in terms of the parts that I'm focused on, I mean, I'm focused a lot on browsers and search engines and those kinds of tools adopting, because that's one of the pieces that's needed to make all this work. And I think, Matt designing our product is very focused on all these web tools and things like that that make it easier for you to build stuff with. So it's all the same bigger problem though.
Yeah, and then as the second part of your question, you asked, what's your intent to bridge monetization with these domains, and what's the greatest advantage against similar domain offerings? So I'll say the biggest advantage is these domains are much more decentralized than the current system of domain name ownership and distribution. And if you just look around, the world is becoming a very, very weird place where people in power have so much more ability to restrict everything you can do all across your life. And I think that this advantage of having control over what you point to and how you transact with each other is core, and it's only going to become more important over the next decade.
Yeah, and there was a bit about monetization there. And I think the nice thing about domain names is they're kind of like this digital real estate concept. So, they are they're things that people want. So obviously we can sell them, but they also, when you have a common term or something like that and you build a website there, then it makes it easier for people to potentially find you.
Cool. So I'm just looking through questions here. Brad, if you find one you like, feel free to take it. Otherwise, I'm sure I'll find one here in a second.
So I see one here from Romanov Z. Among your investors and partners are important companies like Draper Associates, Boost VC, and some of the people we've gotten grants from. What is the importance of these partners for Unstoppable, and how value all your investor partners for Unstoppable? I think, in general, when you have good people who care about what you're doing, that's really valuable. People who are popular and have a voice to help spread your message is also very valuable, especially when you're a early company. But I think it's mostly about just having good people that other people like to read about, and both Adam Draper from Boost VC and Brayton, who are great, and then Tim Draper from Draper Associates. They all do that. But in general, investors aren't going to save you as a company. Like you still need to make something that your users are excited about.
All right. So I've got another one here, and this is from B Hedge 99. It says security is very important. How can the Unstoppable domain address user to protect user data? So there's a couple different answers here. First of all, on our e-commerce site, we're trying to update the privacy there. We just rolled out guest checkout this week, so you can now buy domain names with cryptocurrency as a guest. And we also rolled out guest manage, so it's easier for you to manage, so that we don't have to collect any data from you. We're also not sharing any data with third parties outside of some of the fraud prevention from like Stripe, for instance. So we're very limited on what we're trying to collect on the website, and we're trying to make it even better. Then the other question is like protecting user data on chain. When I'm not sure if this is what you're asking, but there are also methods for protecting your on-chain data for privacy and anonymity that we're also working on, and we'll have in the next second half of this year. All right. So another one here: is it possible to link a domain name to a hardware wallet like Ledger Nano? And the answer is yes. And I would just use guest manage to do that. Again, we just rolled out guest manage. So, and there should be some resources in the community forums on how you can do that. So thank you for the question. And that was Toto, or it's either that or taught off 38. I'm sorry. When we get submissions in the future, we're gonna have to ask people like, how do you pronounce it? So we can put in phonetics in here. Yeah. And yeah, but that's that one. Let me see if there's another
one here from Kets23. Is the server for the domain located on the blockchain? If not, will it still run through the server? And so the way that people are using domains right now is that instead of relying on Amazon Web Services or whatever your typical hosting service is for storing content, you're storing on IPFS. You're storing on a decentralized peer-to-peer storage network where multiple copies of your website are being stored by multiple people. And this is different than the current system where you basically have one party, one company that you're paying for hosting, and then they can just switch you off.
I've got a couple here. So a few people are actually asking about premium domains, like you want to secure a certain premium domain. We have a question here from Chris 00071 for a particular surname. And I would just say contact our sales team. Pavel's the one who leads that, and he can give you more information on the availability of premium domain names and how that might work. We've also sent some emails out. So if you're on our email list for customers, we reach out to you that way. Right, it's still really early, so we're trying to figure out how to best allocate those names. But yeah, if you stay up to date with us on the website, you watch list the domain name, you'll be first to know what's going on with any particular name that you're interested in. There was another one here that I saw I want to get to. Oh yeah, someone is asking for a hint on what the next major product feature is for Unstoppable Domains. That's Explorer David. And I would just say, Explorer David, I apologize. I do not give hints on upcoming product releases, and that's intentional. if you want to know about product releases earlier than other people, we do have early access users. And so you can find them in our Telegram channel. There's actually a special channel for early access users. There's maybe 100 or so in there. And you can get on the list. And this way you can test out new features before they go live. We don't usually have features come out until like 3 weeks before they go live. And this is because as a product manager and engineer, I really like it when companies ship product, and I get very upset if people promise more than they can deliver. And it's really tough on an engineering team if you put promises out there that you can't deliver on. So we try to keep it really tight to the vest, but we do have some cool ones coming out in June. And I just said, like, we just did guest manage, which was actually a pretty good update. And we do have some early release features coming out in June. So if you're interested, I would get in that channel, and you could probably see something as early as next week. Cool. Let's see what else we have here.
So I see one from, this is YCLA 2020. What are the repercussions if you send tokens or coin whose wallet is not configured on the destination domain? So the nice thing here is that you're just gonna get an error. So when you go into the wallet and you were to type in brad.crypto, and I didn't have, if you're in the Bitcoin field, for example, and I didn't have my Bitcoin address set up yet, it would just say, oh, sorry, no Bitcoin address for this. So you can't accidentally send it to a domain that's not configured.
Cool. Yes, there's another one. Like, did something interesting or funny, unexpected happen to the founder team when Unstoppable Domains idea was being created? So I would say a lot of interesting and funny things happened when we were kicking this idea around. So it was pretty crazy. The company was actually, we all moved to Vegas together in order to get this thing built. And it was just nonstop 14-hour day coding sessions. So I've got some pretty funny pictures, but literally, like, he would like wake up in the morning, and then Braden would be like wandering out of the shower straight to his computer. It was just total chaos in there. It smelled like a gym sock in that room.
And it was in your living room too.
It was in my living room. Yeah, we all had our stand-up desk set up. And then I got a puppy, and puppy had a very vicious biting problem, which tortured Ryan on our team for probably about 2 months before he grew out of it. So other than that, we had a great time. We liked building it. And this is, we wanted to use this for ourselves. So I would say it was pretty fun. I have some pictures somewhere that I'm sure someone will circulate. And Ryan is the unofficial documentary person on our team. So I'm sure he'll have an unofficial docuseries up here in the next year or two, because he's the one with the camera.
So I see this question from Max RXL. So there's a couple in here. Can you explain to us what is really the benefit of blockchain domains into decentralized storage? And I think that, so it's the combination of blockchain domain plus decentralized storage that gets you a censorship resistant website. And I think the benefit of that is that your technology is no longer telling you what you can and can't say. And right now, your technology has all kinds of rules. And depending on where you are in the world, those rules could be different. Depending on which technology tools you're using, those rules could be different. But it's possible to have your tools take no opinion. And that is the way that we think it should work. So that's the real, that's the real value here, I think, with the decentralized web. In regards with the AMA, why did you choose Crypto.com as one of your partners? Crypto.com is an amazing company. It has an amazing community. It has an extremely active community. We have a lot of respect for what the company has done in terms of being able to get people excited and focused on what they're doing. So we're really happy to be working with Crypto.com. And in terms of what benefits we both get, well, we're hopeful that we're going to be able to get Crypto.com users, make it easier for them to buy domains, make it easier ultimately for Crypto.com users to send money. So those are the benefits.
Another couple comments there. When you're talking about the decentralized web and what you want to happen, there's several components. So you need to have decentralized compute, decentralized storage, and then decentralized bandwidth. In our case, we're using the blockchain for compute, and we're not doing heavy computation because we're just resolving name addresses. And then we're using IPFS for storage. There is still a hole in the marketplace for decentralized bandwidth that we expect to be filled over the next decade, right? And then you need to have all these things come together for people to really have a decentralized web. And what does a decentralized web mean? And like, why is this important? And we had another question here from Matt Rioto, and he was like, please give me the biggest remarks. How do you think about the future of decentralized network for unstoppable domains and, blockchain technology in general? And I would just say that, like, we want to get to a place where we have a community space that is outside the influence of anybody's government governing bodies, right? Like any one coalition's governing bodies. And so that's what we're trying to build. We're trying to build a decentralized web that is not bound to any one particular country, that does not have regulators from like one jurisdiction being able to dictate to everyone what the rules are for them. And this will give a lot more power back to people. Okay. And one of my fundamental beliefs is that truth is usually a black swan event. And if you're not a finance person, it's meaning that like truth is like the really powerful truths can only come along 1 out of 10,000 times. And if they get buried, right, if they get censored, then you're going to miss a huge next step in thought, right? And this is the problem with censoring the web at all, or censoring ideas. And this is why I believe very strongly in freedom of speech, freedom of expression. And this is why the biggest revolutions that we've had in our history have been paired with technology that has allowed people to communicate their ideas, like the printing press, language, the written word. These are the things that have really pushed us forward. And I view the decentralized web as another one of those tools for humanity to communicate what they're thinking about. And right now we have this really global debate going on about, hey, should we have more controls on people? And I've actually had these discussions with some people who are pretty deep into the national security space. And they literally ask, like, should we build a network that allows us to censor this content, which is harmful, or should we build a network that makes it very easy for people to publish their ideas? And I always vote for number two, because what happens is if you do censorship, you could accidentally censor out that little piece of truth that could have changed the world. And then on the other side of that, if you build a very robust system for allowing everyone to publish, you're going to get a lot of noise. But most of that noise is going to die out. And it's going to be very short-lived. And when I say most, like 99.9% of it, because it doesn't have any sticking power, because it doesn't have a foundation. Whereas the kernels of truth that exist there, they're going to be able to grow because you can't hide from reality for forever, even though we have fake news and we have all these things happening. In the long run, given a long enough time horizon, then we really want a system that allows the truth to exist more than we care about a system that is blocking out maybe hurtful ideas. All right. So what else? That was a long one for me. I'm a little winded. Brad, you got one for me? Otherwise, I'm going to keep scrolling through here, see if I can find another one.
It's going to be hard to top that.
Well, I've got one. Hello, sir. This is from ANDIINR. Again, I apologize. It says, hello, sir. What are your thoughts on the current cryptocurrency payment industry? How will Unstoppable help cryptocurrency industry to grow? Thank you. So my current thoughts are the UX is horrible. And that's what motivates me every day to try to make a better product. And I think that crypto is very difficult for most people to use. And I think that solving that problem at the application layer is going to help drive demand for us to solve solutions all the way down the tech stack to really make crypto the way that people transact and communicate these decentralized networks in the future. So what I'm trying to say is, for me, I wake up every day and I think, wow, the UX is terrible. And figuring out how to solve this UX is going to help pull the whole industry forward, because when we solve these UX problems, we're going to onboard more users. And when we onboard more users, there's going to be higher demand for the underlying platform. And then that's going to encourage that platform to also improve, right? And you're seeing this, in blockchain innovation already. So higher demand for blockchains means that we have better blockchain solutions being built on the architecture at the very bottom level. So yeah, that's how I think Unstoppable is going to help. We're going to bring the users in, and we're going to solve the UX issues so that they can come in more easily. And then that's going to help bootstrap the whole industry forward.
So I see one here from Hendra Siko, maybe. This is a question about security. How will you deal with hackers that use crypto domains to publish copyright material or illegal content? I think this is a really good question, and the question around copyright material and illegal content is really a question around filtering. And we believe that at the base layer, essentially at the protocol layer, that there shouldn't be any kind of filtering, because that goes back to this problem we were talking about before, where you have one group of people that gets to decide what's okay to say and what's not okay to say. And so the base layer, what you can go and access on the blockchain, everyone should be able to write information to the blockchain and have anyone else be able to read it. But what's going to wind up happening is that applications are going to say, I don't want to show this record, or this is harmful to my users, so I'm going to show a warning, or I'm going to give my users a choice to say, this one's okay versus it's not okay. But in the future, we think that it's going to actually be easier for applications to do this kind of filtering of dangerous content than it is right now. Because right now what happens is YouTube and Facebook and all these other platforms have to just go and do it on their own. And if you have a system like this, then you can have applications sharing a database of dangerous addresses or websites or whatever. And you can have multiple different applications that are saying, you can have multiple different applications that have different views on what's okay to say, which is also good for the ecosystem. Right now, you get one view. YouTube or Facebook gets to decide. In the future, you could kind of choose from multiple different versions of the internet.
Another thing on this is I really like the consumer choice aspect. Like right now, you already have filtering tools in your life, and everyone knows parental controls, right? But you're also seeing the emergence of these new tools for like blocking news, right? Or maybe applications that limit your screen time on your phone, right? So there's all sorts of that. This is a consumer behavior that's happening already, right? So like people are actually quite competent. Like I have a lot of faith. Like people are very good at being like, you know what? I'm tired of seeing this person's feed on Twitter or Facebook. Like I'm just gonna like unfollow, right? So I don't have to see that anymore. And that same type of concept carries over to the content that you would see, or that might be delivered to you. And again, way better to let people choose, right? And that's the whole point. Like we want people to choose. I don't want my government to choose. I don't want this corporation to choose. I really do want you to choose. And I think that everyone should want everyone else to choose. And if we disagree on content, that's just part of the evolution that we're all sharing as we're learning together. So yeah, that's just a little follow on there. I had another one here from Prasser, Praserrr, and he's asking, with the emergence of many blockchain projects, how do you feel? Do you feel the pressure is on for the race for better blockchain solutions, and how do I feel about it? And so I feel great. I actually like to see innovation like across the space, and it's kind of like I don't really have concerns for where we're going in the future. And the thing that we ask as a core team, and we actually ask this question on like a regular basis, is like, we wake up in the morning, we say, hey, is naming still important? And every day we wake up, it's like the answer is always yes. And it's been a solid yes since we started this company, hasn't changed at all. So it doesn't really matter what's happening on underneath, and it shouldn't, right? Because we are at our core, we're solving a really hard UX problem. And as long as a blockchain has blockchain fundamental principles, it's going to work really well for naming services. So yeah, I think it's actually good to see all these different ideas bubbling up in the blockchain space. New ideas for how to pack more transactions into a particular block, or how to keeps privacy even when transactions are on chain. I follow all of these things. We follow all of these things. And I think it's just a sign of a very healthy ecosystem. And this idea of that if somebody else figures something out, that it's bad for everyone else is a wrong idea, right? And like the right idea is like, hey, if this team over here figures out a way to do, an extra 500 transactions in a block, then that's awesome for absolutely every person. And if this team over here figures out a way to make transactions more private, or this team figures out over here a way to give storage guarantees on peer-to-peer networks, these are all great things. And this is exactly what capitalism and competition delivers for end users. And like, we go to war every morning and we want to get our game face in and put our very best effort to make a better product. So does every other team in blockchain. I've met a lot of these people and they all really care about the mission. And as a community, we all feel good when we get to the end result. And so, yeah, no, I'm just excited to see all these projects. And if you have cool ones, please share them. I think they're super interesting. So follow me on Twitter, and then, you can @mention me if you want to, and I'll show up, because I read a lot more about blockchain than my wife would like me to.
And what's your Twitter handle?
Oh man, I have to go. Man, I'm terrible. I think it's just my name. I've updated it a few times. Let me check here. Yeah, I'm @Matthew E. Gould. So it should be easy. All right, let's see what else. Let's keep moving. So there's a couple questions here. One's from @SamYap0, and he's like, "Are you working to extend unstoppable domains addresses for sending crypto to other applications and exchanges?" So there's a couple of questions that are asking that same thing. Yes, we're always working on integrating with more apps and exchanges. We're going to keep doing that for as long as we're in existence. And then let's see what else here.
So I see a question here about blockchain domains do the regular domains cannot. And so I think this one is, there's payments. Payments, using cryptocurrency is this kind of new concept that was introduced by, that's native to blockchain domains, where you can have a censorship-resistant website as well as a censorship-resistant payment to a name that you could just share. So it's very different than like Venmo or something else you might use like that, where you've got, I've got my handle, but when someone sends that to me, that handle is not mine. Venmo could take it away from me, and Venmo could also stop me from using it, stop me from paying. So that's very different. And then the same thing for websites. The fact that your website content can be stored by multiple people and therefore much harder to take down. And the fact that your domain is stored by you is very different.
I've got one here from Steve Calavera, and he's asking about basically phishing attempts for capital letters versus lowercase letters. So I've got a two-part answer here. So first of all, right now we're restricting registrations to all lowercase. So and we've actually had a few people, congratulations at their community, who have figured out how to, in the past, we've had a couple of times that they figured out how to register a domain that was outside of this, and it was great for them. We've caught the bug and we got them restored. But the idea is it should only be lowercase letters for now. So if you find a way to register something else, please let us know, and you'll get a bug bounty for that. And then another answer to this about like how to prevent this kind of phishing, we're actually looking at ways of enhancing the information that you're getting when you read a domain. Okay, so without revealing, product things that we're working on the back end, like expect some updates over the summer to make you feel much more confident when sending a crypto transaction that it's going to the person that you think it should be sent to. So this is a core piece of the functionality. We are improving it. I still think that right now, just by limiting the namespace to all lowercase, for instance, we've prevented a lot of the phishing attempts. But if you find some other ones that you think are concerning, please let us know. It's an active area of research. There's another one. Will there be other unstoppable domain extensions in the future besides .crypto and .zil? So we have no plans to launch additional extensions at this point in time, and we will let you know if we change our mind on that. We have no plans. There's nothing for the rest of this year on that, and we are focused on building the tools for the current extensions. Like, we have a lot of work to do with just that. And we're actually looking at we're not just looking at, but we're actually actively making updates to those systems already. So you may not notice, but we have new resolver contracts on the back end now when you are claiming and managing your names. And so there's a lot happening on the current registries that has 100% of our current focus.
So I've got one here. It's a question from Max Bombert. At the moment, what is the feedback of main web browsers worldwide concerning supporting .crypto domains? So I think in general, there has been a lot more focus. Opera browser has sort of led the way here, which has been helpful, getting it on a lot of people's radar. But there's also many other browsers that have either blockchain projects or in particular decentralized web projects that they are working on internally. And we're working with some of those teams and hoping to influence this outcome, hoping to make it happen a bit sooner than maybe it otherwise would happen. But they're definitely looking at it, which is the thing that I would say is somewhat new in 2020. And I would say that was not really the case in 2019. So we've seen that change, which is really exciting.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm a little short on time here. I'm getting text messages here. I'm gonna have to go in a second. Let me see what else we got here. So a couple one's from Fergo1, and it says, can we send any crypto asset by just using a domain name? So that is the idea. Yes, you should be able to. And your second part here is without using the address, or is there any special benefits? And not exactly sure what you're saying there, but once you configure your domain name so that it points to the correct place where you want to store it on chain, then yes, you can just use your domain name to have someone send you anything. Like, it could be an NFT, for instance. So if you want to have your NFT stored on your ETH address or something, yes, they could look up your domain name, and then they would know which ETH address is in the NFT to. So yes, that would work. Next one is from Slissy, and it's why build a new system? So I would say, why not? And then also, the old one sucks. No. It's the old one's old, right? So DNS rolled out 25 plus years ago, right, for naming, and it was great for the time. But technology has gotten significantly better, and specifically technology for sending money has gotten much more interesting with blockchains. And this is just something they didn't have when DNS rolled out. And they actually tried to build a payment protocol into DNS, and like, they're trying to figure out, like, who's processing the transactions, what currency should it be in, what bank should we use, and they just couldn't have a solution because they didn't have a way to do trustless settlement 25 years ago. So now we do, and this is just the next evolution in the internet, in my opinion. And thanks again for all the questions, and thank you, Crypto.com community. You guys have been super welcoming, and we're looking forward to working with you guys.